and then it's welcome back. This is Chief Delegate Meeting number 21. All 6 of us are present. It's March 10th, 2022, and we're just going to get right into it today with some individual updates. John, take it away.
More Fractally stuff. I'm also working on a sort of PowerPoint presentation to do at a crypto meetup here locally. Hopefully I can record it, sort of share it out to the community. But yeah, I'll be sort of like standing in front of a screen and talking to people. So yeah.
Cool. All right. I'm just gonna go down the screen. Next I got Randall.
Hello everybody. So basically for EOS support, we've been working hard on building. We are on pace to hopefully maybe have our platform up, the final platform maybe by April. So that's working out very good. The second thing is we've received some tickets on the network, acting funny sometimes. But we spoke to, I think, Matthew, and Matthew said that some of the transactions were just getting lost. So the good thing is the API group are working on tools that will help us to actually see what's going on in the network. And we are fortunate enough that the group have decided to also educate us a little bit so that we can get some basic information to look at what's going on in the network and be able to use that to provide support for the end users. So that's something that I'm very happy about. So all in all, things are going well, and we are on pace to build something very nice for the community. Oh, actually, one more thing that I almost forgot. We have our own little consensus building going on. We have a team called the EOS Squad, EOS Support Squad. So we are starting like consensus building, to make sure that we pay people who are providing support content, helping their community, so shout out to Mel. He's working on something in London. So that's something that I'm very interested in. Shout out to Sangyeon. He's providing like a group of people support and teaching them how for them to help the Korean community. So pretty much things are going well, and we are using that consensus building to reward those guys who are helping provide support in their communities and also to build their communities pretty much. So that's about it.
Right on, sounds good. Support is strong. Jesse.
Hey everyone, hope everyone had a good week. The bees were very busy this week. We launched our Instagram strategy called EOS Memes with a Z, EOS.memes handle. We are putting all the memes that are coming out from the hives. I want to give a special shout out to the Hindi hive. They're doing a great job with the memes. And we have it all in one place there. We got the hashtags. This is, I think, a good strategy to get EOS noticed on Instagram. So that was launched today. We'll be posting every day, one meme per day, and then hopefully we can continue to get followers on that page. We also launched EOS Rants with Nova Crypto. This is a mind map with short form video content inspired by Yves LaRose. We're doing a Twitter competition every week. Yves has graciously offered to match the rewards of 25 to the winner and 10 to a randomly selected rant. So that's 50 and 20, at least for a few rounds or a few weeks, Yves said, or as long as he feels like it. So thank you, Yves. And so yeah, please participate, get your rants out. Doesn't need to be high quality video, just record yourself, upload to YouTube. And we want to do this because when we have new community members, this is in part of our suite of EOS beginner content. We have our DApp ecosystem image, we have the EOS beginner's guide, and now we have this. And they can look at the mind map and learn about the EOS community. I think it's a great way to learn about the EOS community. We're working on our February report. We're finished, we're just making it look pretty. I'm gonna just provide a couple of interesting stats, hopefully interesting. So we spent 3,000 EOS on bounty funds. So our bounties go to specific work items. And we have a pie chart that separates the bounty funds by contest type. And so our biggest allocations, 20.3% to influencers, 21.6% to translations, 14.7% social media posts, and the fourth one is 8% to video and 7% to articles. So translations and influencers were what I asked for, and so this is what I consider like our lowest hanging and our highest hanging fruit. And so yeah, really happy with our progress in February, and we'll be coming out with that report next week. We also came out with an article or a proposal for an onboarding and referral system that Randall and I have been working on. So I made it public. I wrote an article. The goal of the proposal is to qualify people to give them free EOS accounts, and not only give them free EOS accounts, pay them to set up an EOS account. And this is the plan to solve the fundamental problem on EOS of our account creation problem or bottleneck, where they're used to proof of work change with free accounts, but with the UTXO transaction fee, whatever. And so super excited to work with Randall on that, and the bees will be using that heavily once Randall and his team builds that on eosupport.com. We had a couple bee signals this week. That's when we see very negative posts out there and the bees comment on it. Crypto Wizard, 300,000 followers, tweeting that EOS is dead. And then James Spidiacci, 11,000 followers, calling EOS a VC-backed centralized database. And so EOS is dead, EOS is centralized. Those are the common ones. And we did it. You know, we commented. We had around 50 bees. So hopefully people saw our comments and had a different idea of what was actually in the tweet. And finally, we translated the Fractally white paper into Chinese, Korean, Spanish, Turkish, and Vietnamese. And we're very happy to do that for the Fractally team to promote the ideas of Fractally. Yeah, that's a report or the update.
Epic. Yeah, yours is more like a report than an update usually. But good stuff. Good stuff. Great work on the translation. Chris.
I'm sorry. I just want to thank Lovejoy and John for donating for our work for the translation. So thanks, guys. And there were a couple of who was it?
Community.
Yeah, a couple of the delegates. Yeah, Ami and one other delegate. I'm so sorry.
Elias.
Yes. Thank you, Lovejoy. So thanks, guys.
Go team. Not much of an update. The My Vote EOS campaign hasn't really kicked off hard yet. Han's kind of the main guy behind it, and he was traveling and then not feeling well, so kind of delayed the big push, but it's sort of coming out. And in Korea, South Korea, they recently had a presidential election, and looks like the gentleman who won by a very slim margin is going to deregulate crypto and help open it up. So that bodes well to sort of part of the My Vote EOS campaign's main driver or main force we have is trying to create a relationship with the Upbit exchange that has something like 130 million EOS that are not being voted. So that's one of the whole kind of the big purpose or the big sort of the teeth behind this organization, the myvoteeos.com organization, is that if we can get the tokens behind Upbit voting in alignment with the BPs that sign up to this org, they would be pretty quickly catapulted into a very high position. With a few extra votes, that could single-handedly redefine the top 21. It's very ambitious, but that's sort of the intention, in a non-combative, loving kind of way. So that isn't really, yeah. So anyway, that's happening slowly, and the majority of my leftover Eden Chief Delegate funding will go towards that group to kind of keep it moving and have this campaign kind of have some legs over time to try to have it achieve its mission. And that's basically it.
All right, Aaron.
There's code reviews going on right now for some of these new account creation libraries. I've been watching a couple of our developers going back and forth on ways to optimize it and make sure we're not going to break any reverse compatibility. I have not been the reviewer, so I don't know much more than that. So that's where that's at. Randall, I have been talking with one of my new guys, and I may send him your way to volunteer with some support stuff. Not expecting anything in return. What we get out of return of that is just him gaining more knowledge on kind of the forefront and being able to serve as another point of contact for you and your team. So yeah, he's helping us with Anchor QA. He's doing systems administration, and I kind of told him, I was like, I want you over the course of the next year or so to really become an expert in EOS.io stuff, like the user experience type stuff, because that'll be really valuable for us. And I figured I'd help you guys out too. So you can expect that to happen at some point. Yeah, there's a lot of other things going on, not exactly related to Eden stuff, but yeah, that's my update.
Awesome. I'm sure we'll have a chance to get into some of that other good stuff in a minute here. For myself, I've been doing some writing, which mostly is going to be coming out on the ENF side of things, and then working on just building some bridges between the various teams working on EOS, just trying to connect some of the factions that are maybe missing each other right now. And yeah, just trying to align interests there. As Jesse indicated, I made a donation to the translation efforts for Fractally, and I guess if anyone's, I don't know how much John threw in the kitty, but we're probably just over halfway to the total, Jesse?
Yeah, so John donated 500 EOS, and we're at a total of 1,100 EOS donated right now.
So we have 900 EOS to go. I'll probably just end up covering whatever doesn't get covered, but if anyone else in the community wants to contribute, I'll make sure the information is available in the show notes, so you can also pitch in if you feel like that's worthwhile endeavor. Yeah, wow, so much going on, but kind of, oh yeah, communicating a little bit with the Chinese community and trying to keep track of what's going on there with their Eden that's getting formed. So that's exciting, and I look forward to seeing how that all dovetails with what we're going to talk about maybe next, which is Eden independence. And yeah, Randall, do you want to kind of kick us off and give us a little intro into what you've been working on?
Sorry, I was muted. So basically, I spoke to a couple of developers to see how we can move forward. If Eden is to be by itself without the Fractally team. So I discussed with my my engineer the guy who helps me with smart contract. He's a full stack developer, very, very knowledgeable, white hat hacker, very good, and brought it up to him. So he's willing to do it. But the thing is, we want to make sure that other teams come forward first. If they want to do it and someone want to take over it, it's fine. If Fractally wants to take over it, it's fine. But if not, he's willing to help us manage the code and run elections. So that's something that he decided on. The second thing is I spoke to Zero Pass to see what we could do to make the software a little bit polished, to make onboarding better. And basically, they are also willing to work with us if we can get the funding that Eden needs to manage the code and stuff like that. So that is also a good sign. So all in all, it seemed like we have a couple of engineers who are willing to take on the challenge, but at the same time, we want to make sure that other teams, including Fractally, get the opportunity to express what they want to do and how the transition is going to be handled, so that we can break free in a nice and smooth way, so that Eden can be on his own, and for us to leave it to the community, pretty much.
Very cool. Anyone else want to chime in on that?
I guess I'm just excited to see some momentum happening. The future is pretty uncertain right now with what's going on. And I think we, as a group, need to kind of talk about those types of things we need to see change to keep this engine moving. At the bare minimum, this process is good for distributing funds to projects within the community through a unique mechanism that should continue forward. Even if we just align it with pomelo seasons or something, it can continue until something better exists to replace it. That's basically where I'm at.
So there were a couple things that Aaron, that you came up with, that like some simple things to change in the smart contract. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if we're comparing notes, I went through since our last call, I think just for clarity, I'm slightly under the weather as of the last few days, so I'm very low energy. And I may need to be guided slightly if I'm not making any sense. But I think some of the things we need right now is we need to come up with a shorter election cycle and what that means. I don't think, like, if we said we wanted to align with Fractally and do weekly meetings in Eden and do distribution, that's going to be a taller ask than, let's say, we wanted to do monthly or bi-monthly. If we just want to go bi-monthly or monthly, we shouldn't have to change any of the payout code because payouts happen once per month. But if we want to go under the 1 month time frame for whatever reason, the way that payouts happen in the Eden contracts is going to have to be modified to accommodate that. So the level of effort is going to increase the minute we try to go under a month. So realistically, as a group, we should maybe try to come up with a number that's less than 6 months and greater or equal to 1 month. That would be a good first step and a relatively minor change to the smart contract. Like, that's something I could probably do as a non-smart contract developer. Moving on from that idea, it's the potential removal of sortition. I don't know, or the changing of sortition to be less impactful, I guess, is maybe the best way to put it. Right now, it's roughly 4 times greater than an individual chief, chief delegate's budget. That number should be less. Like, I can see the debate that it should be 0. I'd accept arguments on that side as well. But it should be changed, and it should also be a relatively minor change. Like, I imagine this is relatively straightforward and simple, something that we could do, so long as, you know, we agree to it and that rule is ratified in whatever process we want to run through, and, you know, make sure the community accepts that. Like, I guess we do need to talk about how we decide these things. So when I'm talking about these ideas, I'm just throwing out ideas of things to change, not what to change them to. And I don't know exactly how we justify the change or come to consensus on the change.
I think we should vote on this, Paul.
Potentially. I don't know if voting on the spot for some of this is great, or if you guys have snap decisions, or want time to think about things and engage with the community. So there's a few random tangents there. What else did I have?
So there's the third thing was to get rid of the 10 EOS onboarding fee.
Mhm.
And in terms of deliberating with the community, the delegates had a call, and there seemed to be consensus on the direction that you described, Aaron. But in terms of like the actual number, I feel like someone like our group needs to just pick a number and then see how the community reacts after we pick a number and can agree on a number.
True.
Why do we need to change the number? Like, the market price of EOS has gone down, so it's even cheaper than before, isn't it? What's wrong with today's number?
Why does
No,
it
I
have to
mean-
be a number?
No, I mean, like, John, like 3 months instead of 6 months,
Oh,
or 2 months or 4 months instead of 6 months.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the 10 EOS fee.
Well,
Me too.
we're talking about three things: the 10 EOS fee, it's the shorter election cycle, and it's the sortition, narrowing the sortition difference between head and regular chief. So I think it'd be a really productive call if we can decide on a proposed number, then we bring it to the other delegates and see what they think about the number that we decide here. So I can start it off, or does anyone else want to?
Just one, yeah. So like, are we going to vote to make changes that become ratified, or are we voting to come up with a proposed set of bylaws that we hope the next set of chief delegates ratify and then implement?
that's kind of what I was leading with, or when I was talking about. And what I think is important is that we don't want the next election cycle to be another 6 months or whatever. So I don't know if, like, I think we do want things ratified in some way, but if they are to be ratified, then it's hard, because that means that the next election cycle is going to have all of these criteria. Like, it might be another 6 months if it has to be ratified.
Well, no, like, we could say we're going to propose that it should be every 2 months there's an election. And so we would have that as like this, here's our set of bylaws, take it to the next election, whoever gets voted, they'd be like, yep, we ratify these. And then it's 2 months, like so those changes become in effect.
Yeah, and people can run on that in the election.
That's the
like,
point. Yeah,
right. I agree, Chris. I agree.
All right.
The one thing that we should try to, this came up on the chief or the delegate call the other day, where there is a line in the peace treaty that says the bylaws have to be one complete holistic document. And so the ratification process can't be piecemeal. I think that's way too aggressive to like, it's going to slow progress. If there's one little thing in there that someone or two people in the next set of chief delegates don't like, and all of a sudden this whole thing gets tossed out because it'd be nice if we could maybe allow the option for it to be piecemeal.
Sure.
Or, yeah, I mean, I think there were a few things about the peace treaty that would kind of need to be altered in order to make progress. And we talked about that in the all delegate call. And normally a change to the peace treaty requires 2/3 plus 1 vote of all the members. So that's 2/3 of 402 people right now, or 403 people. But
Yeah.
we also discussed that we kind of have Dan as the benevolent despot, aka philosopher king type person, who's claimed power to just alter everything. So we could just appeal to Dan, or we could just get the community's buy-in to change. I don't know. It gets a little slippery.
No,
I kinda argue-
that sounds right. The latter sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
I just brought that up just because we may be able to, not get stuck waiting another, 6 months if we just kind of make a few small tweaks to the peace treaty.
I think the thing we need to be cognizant of is the terms or the conditions in which the network provided these funds to. So like there's an understanding of how Eden was to be running, and then the network gave Eden a bunch of dough. So if we start to like just totally fuck with the rules, then we become delegitimate. And so that's the idea of Dan did claim to have these God powers over the bylaws and the peace treaty. So if we can just get him to tweak a couple things, and we just sort of, I mean, we're kludging it certainly, but at least it's legitimate. Like we're following the rules as we all understood them. And so I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking how necessary it is to do that, but.
Well, we'll quickly find out. I mean, if we manage to navigate to a new state of laws or whatnot, like we'll quickly find out whether the network supports us or not. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So can we go ahead and maybe do the first proposal or try to decide on the first number? Are we ready for that?
Oh, I think before we do that, we should talk about the mission statement a little bit, because I think the mission statement has to be talked about a little bit so that we can capture that. And then maybe after that, we can move on to, the other steps, because I feel like the other steps it will be decided if we know exactly what Eden on EOS is supposed to be.
But isn't it different for each person? Like we've tried to do this mission statement and we've not been able to.
Let's try again. Let's try again
Well,
today.
yeah, it's got to be something. It's like we're cursed. We're screwed by this whole it's different to everyone kind of thing. So
It's, in reality, it's this organization is to the benefit of EOS, period. Like there's nothing else to it.
yeah, but there's so many ways to benefit EOS. So someone thinks it's gonna, we're gonna benefit EOS through governance, and other people say, no, we're just gonna benefit EOS through, this fancy way of handing out funds. Like we just gotta figure out which method it is, kind of thing.
No, all of them are valid.
Yeah, why can't we have a
Like-
broad mission statement?
Chuck had a good one. Chuck's is to increase the value of EOS.
That one, like, I think the wording is a little rough on that one because it makes it sound like our goal is to pump the token price.
Exactly.
But I mean,
I think that one, everyone can agree to
Who's
that.
gonna say no to that?
Create
True.
value might be a better.
yeah,
To
Yeah,
create-
to create
the
value
wordings.
for EOS using
Yeah.
fractal governance.
There we go.
and I would say, and to further I personally would add a fractal governance component to it. Like
that's just what we are, though. That's what this process is. We don't have to describe the process to state our mission.
Okay,
I know
actually,
your
this is what I
argument
wrote.
there.
This is
Simple,
what I wrote.
short.
Sure, I spoke to I think I spoke to Chuck as well, and I spoke to a couple other people. So I put to elect trusted representatives to raise the value of the EOS tokens.
I would argue that not every action that comes out of Eden that benefits EOS has to raise the value of the token. Like this isn't about the token, it's about providing value to the ecosystem. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Token
EOS
price is like the weather. You can't control the weather.
Yeah.
Like anything.
Yeah.
Like the Chinese got to do one thing, or any government at all has to pass any law, and the Bitcoin price goes down 5%. As if we're
Then we've
gonna,
all failed
yeah,
instantly.
screw tethering anything to price. Like build a community and value there, but don't measure against the bloody token price.
So the EOS
Doomed.
ecosystem is better than.
Yeah, so how about this, guys? To create value for the EOS ecosystem using fractal governance.
drop the end,
Drop the what?
I like
the
it.
last 3 words.
I like it. Yeah. Aaron
drop
doesn't
the
want to
end?
include.
But that's
He doesn't want fractal governance included in the.
Just as
Why not,
short as
Aaron?
possible, because it's implied. Like this is a fractal governance process. Why don't we also include the words like blockchain and human and all the other things that we're using to achieve this? No, you got to remove all the commonality and just boil it down to its essence.
All right, so what would that be?
To create
Dude.
value for the EOS
To create.
community or EOS ecosystem.
Okay. That's nice and simple.
That's what we're doing.
To create value.
We're trying, you know, not every attempt of every member is going to succeed, and that's to be expected.
I'd get behind that. It's very simple to create value for the EOS ecosystem.
Yeah, and for us to do that, we have to run more election. We have to iterate as much as possible.
All right, so we finally got a mission statement. Congratulations, everyone.
It was so difficult.
Now we just need it to be ratified by the next chief.
Yeah.
delegate.
Okay. So that's point number one. Can we move on to the next point?
So the next point is the elections, right? Election cycle.
Yeah, the election cycle is the next point. And I would put my vote for 3 months. Does anyone else
really-
like 3 months?
I was thinking 1 or 2.
That's
I
kind
was
of where I
leaning more
was.
towards.
All right, I'll be in the
One.
middle. I will be in the middle for 2 because.
So-
2 is
I said
weird.
1.
Yeah, what happens when, because the election
1 or 3
Saturday,
makes.
right? So don't elections have to take place on a Saturday? So is
Well,
there a
or it
risk?
could be a
Change
Sunday.
it.
I mean, they should be perhaps on a Saturday. What's the point?
Payout schedule and how if we tie the election to a day of the month, then we're gonna have some fuckery with getting 2 or only 1 payout. Am I confused? Or maybe it's just always slightly less than 2 months. Depends how strict we are to 2 months. You know what I mean? Like it's gotta be
Aaron,
loose a little bit.
No, so
there.
you get 2 payouts if it's 2 months. You get 3 payouts if it's 3 months. Whatever.
Aaron, could you give us a little sense for like what the constraints are and the current way the contract is currently set up to do the payouts and why you said it can't be less than a month without incurring some technical labor?
Just because right now, the way that payouts process is they happen every month on the 8th. So with that piece of the code would need to be changed if we went less than a month. If we don't go less than a month, then we can just leave that code alone and payouts can continue on as normal. And there's less development effort that needs to go into modifying the contract. Like I think, and could be completely wrong here, is that we could change the election cycles very easily without really touching code per se. It would be more of a variable. But the minute we want to go less than a month, now we have to touch the code. Now we have to write something that changes how payouts occur. And one other factor I'd like to bring up as we're deciding on this is that the frequency at which elections occur is going to have a cost incurred with it because somebody needs to run the election. So if we said we wanted to run it every month, then there's going to be like 1 monthly cost to run an election, or let's say there's 12 costs per year to run 12 elections. If we did it every 3 months, we'd only have 4 costs that year versus 12. So that's going to factor into the decision of realistically how we can run it. We haven't talked about who runs this election, how they're paid, and what it costs. But I think as we're talking, we can kind of come up with the ideal number we'd like to see, but we have to understand that that may be impacted by like the reality of who's running it and what it costs and how that's going to actually play out in reality.
I actually put 3 months, right? Actually, I didn't notice that I put 3 months. There was a reason for that. Okay, so 3 months. I think what is going to happen is possibly maybe the network has to get maybe the support agents to help with the dates, you know, promoting it and having people come together to do this. Okay, and then I just need 1 or 2 IT guys, right? So I was thinking if you know, other people are going to come on board, but once we have the person who's going to do it, then that person with the support agents can be able to run the whole election easily. Right. So I think 3 months is better so that we are not spending too much money. Especially
two votes,
because they have a
but
lot
maybe-
of money in this treasury.
So we have me and Randall for 3 months. Anyone else? We have 3.
I'm fine with 3 months. I think gradual adjustments are probably wiser than radical ones at this juncture. Although I'm kind of keen to see more frequent than 3, but probably.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Like, I'd really like to see 1 or 2 months, but with the cost and the complexity of running more, it's hard. And 3 months might actually line up really nicely with Pomelo seasons. Like maybe each
Quarterly,
election we can align with to be closer to a Pomelo season. So that
Yeah.
way, like people could literally run on like, I want to fund this type of thing and I'm going to do it both as an independent, but I'm also going to leverage Pomelo. And then they're like, it's almost like Eden will have seasons just like Pomelo, and they could be branded together, they could be promoted together. There's some synergy that could happen right there. So 3 months kind of makes sense. Despite I mean, I'd love to see it every month just to see how that plays out. But yeah, I could be on board with 3.
Currently though, we'd be behind. I guess if the next election is April 9th, and Pomelo season will be ending.
It'll be in progress, right?
It'll be in progress.
but
Yeah.
it'll be like winding down, right?
Yeah.
Like,
And
I
the
think the
new delegates
15th or
wouldn't get
something.
paid by the time Pomelo ended. So
right. So it'd all be about. So currently, unless we figured out a way to adjust the time of the election and like have like a
mhm.
like an adjustment.
I think Pomelo may be open to changing their dates.
True. Maybe not for this season because they've
Right.
already announced it, but maybe we can talk with Daniel and or whoever wants to represent that side on Pomelo, and Daniel Keys from EOS Nation, just to be specific, and see if there's a way to align that if we do propose the 3-month thing.
Well, we have, yeah. So we are proposing, we have 5 votes. And so we can move on to the next issue, which is,
Did
Are you-
anyone?
Are you guys
wait,
tracking
hold
this
on.
somewhere? I got the one spreadsheet that we had with Chuck's stuff. I'm putting it here. Are you guys putting it somewhere else? I'm just realizing we're probably keeping track in different spots.
I just got notes,
I
but
wasn't.
feel free to be the secretary today. That'd be awesome.
Okay, I'll keep it here on this spreadsheet then, because there's probably a few other points maybe that if we have time, we can also.
Okay, but just to back up, who is in favor of 3 months for now? So John, you're just abstaining, or you don't like it?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I thought it'd be worth just double checking to get a better idea of how costly it is to run an election. Like, is it just a couple of things that you got to know, or is it some real hardcore like shit? Can we document it? Can we make a little guide on how to do it? I don't know, but yeah, I guess
That'd
3
be
months
cool.
will.
Yeah, but that
Like-
is dependent on the faculty team if they are going to do a transitional type of handover, right? They have to let us know how this thing works. I
You
mean,
know what would be nice?
Yeah, but if we just paid like a one-time fee, like let's pay them 10 grand if we have to, and just say, hey, like tell us how it's meant to be done, and then we'll have a
yeah,
YouTube
but they have
guide
to run
on
the
it.
election if you are paying them 10 grand.
Well, no, the
Yeah,
idea
run
is
the
that we do it
election.
ourselves. We don't need them. Once we know how to do
No.
it, we do it ourselves.
Now, bear in mind,
Not paying
It
10
is-
grand.
it is-
just to learn how
it
to
is
do
it
this.
is written down on the faculty FAQ that I just reviewed that they're planning on running the April 9th election.
We could have observers that are
So
like
if the
involved
faculty
in that and
team-
learning.
Is not planning on running the election. We need to know about that sooner than later.
Yeah.
They should,
But-
because this group just translated their white paper for them into how many different languages, and it didn't cost faculty. So surely
Yeah.
they would be kind-hearted
5.
enough to want to do this and take notes, so then we can do it
Yeah.
next. That's not too much to ask.
Yeah, we'll be like looking over their shoulders. I'm
Let's
flying to Australia to watch John. We're at
Yeah,
work.
well, if we do the next election, they're hosting it, and then if we had a developer or two, watching them do it and learning the process as they go along, then in theory we could have monthly elections, and it won't cost an arm and a leg to do so.
But I mean,
we're going to
I
we're going to go for the 3 months because we have consensus right now.
And
I
they can
like,
change it. They can change it.
yeah,
and
that's
They
that's
can-
my point is like, if we just make the change to 3 months right now, then the next batch can say,
Yeah,
no, we
okay,
want to go to
great.
1 month, and
Yeah.
we'll be there in 4 months from now. So
Yeah, gradual.
Well, yeah, but
gradual.
before we can determine the election, frequency, we got to figure out how the hell do we run the next election? Like any next election after this next one, kind of thing. If we're doing it ourselves, how the hell do we do it? So yeah, we also need to keep that in mind before we can say, oh, let's do it. Even if we do it every 5 years,
we
still don't
have
know.
no choice. We are
We
going
s-
to do it.
Yeah,
It's
we're gonna
either-
do it just like how we've been doing it for
Yeah,
now.
it's either Fractally is going to help us or they're not, and then we have to just.
Yeah, but Fractally is only signed up for next month's election, right? So if we had to do it tomorrow, if we had to do an election by ourselves tomorrow, how would we do it? We don't know how to.
But we're
No,
not.
John, you
but
just
we're gonna
said they're
watch.
gonna.
After theirs. So they're going to do it the next one. We all agree.
Yeah.
with that. Okay. So when
So
they do
we-
it, we're just
So
going
we
we,
have
we
4
need we
months
need to
to
learn how
figure
the
out.
hell to do it.
yeah,
yeah, we have
That's
4
what we're gonna
months.
do that.
that's the point. But there's
Yeah.
guys like the Fractal team is full of great human beings who I'm sure would love to see this succeed. And I think Brandon Fancher was the one who pretty much ran it last time, and he's a wicked guy. Like I'm sure Brandon, out of the kindness of his heart, will help take
Wicked
some
guy.
notes for us for next time. Like we're not asking a lot here, so I get your point, John. But it's a resolvable problem that we really don't have to.
So if
Well,
Brandon,
yeah,
if
I'm
Brandon is
just
willing-
saying, like, this is a problem that we need to address. That's all.
Yeah, so if Brandon is willing,
will.
I can get my guy with him, and they can be in a group chat. They can talk, and they can figure it out, and then we can go from there. I mean, whoever that wants to do this,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep it open. Whoever wants to do this, step up. If you're an IT person, you want to get some money, step up, and we will do it.
Yeah, it's kind of a different issue. I totally understand where you're coming from, John. But yeah, I would say let's try to just keep building our proposal.
Mhm.
Because we're running out of time. Not today,
3
but
months.
just generally. Like
3
only have
months
a
is
few weeks left.
conservative. It's a very conservative approach. I mean, if we said 1 month, I'd be a little more concerned that we were,
Yeah.
pushing our luck a little bit. But 3 months gives
That's
us a little.
market change. That's half what we just did. So that's a pretty big change right there. And if it turns out after 3 months, they're like, no, we need to do it more frequently, then the next
Change it.
CDs can do it. Yeah.
We'll be closer to being able to do that. I think it makes sense.
So
If
the next
there
one's a
are-
bit harder, which is the sortition funding versus the non-sortition winners. So currently, Aaron said it was 4x. What should it be changed to?
I was just
0.
gonna ask for anyone that might know the answer. What's the Fibonacci if we just randomly were to like,
Oh,
like,
it's
because
made up.
would it be less dramatic? Would it be less dramatic than what we have now? I'm just kind of curious, like,
No,
don't know.
probably not.
or
All right, so we
more.
have Aaron voted 0.
I
like what
zero.
Chuck wrote.
I think
Chuck-
0 is fine.
Chuck said that this I like his where the head there is no head, like we're all equal as chief delegates, and then the head chief, what would have been that amount, is held in an MSEG that we all 2/3 plus 1 would be able to spend from,
Yeah.
because
That's-
that could then fund.
Well, sorry, I
the
didn't get that.
website.
What was that last part?
So
About the
instead of having, so we would all have equal amount. So Aaron would be in the same, we would all have the same budget. And then that extra amount, that's like whatever, 5 times, or I forget the multiple of that extra amount that the head chief would have gotten, just goes to all of us. And there's an MSIG that we then control. And that would fund. So then if we have to pay for the next election, we would then vote to make sure we allocate some money for that. And if one of us has a great cause, we'd spend it to that. And if we want to pay for a website, we could do it on that. Like it kind of solves that core funding problem.
Yeah, I like it.
Aaron or John, are there any technical limitations to that approach?
Yes. It would
Well,
require coding.
The
It doesn't
contracts,
exist.
the contracts are expecting to figure out a sortition like winner. It's not going to finish the election until someone's picked. I'm sure we can change how much they get, but on a contract level, there's always going to be a head delegate unless you make that change on that level. We could just ignore who the head delegate is, but on a contract level, I imagine it's still going to be there.
I personally don't think we should remove sortition entirely. I'm in favor of mitigating the effect of sortition, but I like that there's kind of like one person who
It
gets that.
depends on the scope. Sortition is more based on governance stuff rather than money kind of thing, I think, anyway. So is it it depends on the governance powers and how we structure governance in Eden, and then you can figure out what to do with a sortition
Maybe
winner.
let's change the percentage. If that's the case, we change the percentage to make the money a little bit smaller. And
Like,
then we can go from there.
So governance wise, like voting powers, everyone should be equal. Like the sortition winner shouldn't have any further powers than the average chief delegate.
Maybe they
Yeah.
have a weight of 2 instead of 1.
I mean, let's be honest here, there is no governance responsibility of this
Right.
besides making these
Well,
rules.
Well, there
Yeah,
are
there's
kind of,
there's
I
still
mean,
the internal voting like we're doing, now.
Mhm.
We've just asked for 5 votes out of 6. So like that itself is an unofficial rule at the moment.
True,
Mhm.
and as we're doing it right now, my vote is equal to all of yours.
yeah, but you could claim that you were more.
Okay, then I'm setting precedent that my vote is not any greater than yours.
Yeah, we never really worked that out, and it wasn't written down anywhere in the bylaws. So
I think we
we're
should
kind of
go
in,
equal. It
So-
makes sense that way.
So just to summarize, there's a technical limitation of excluding or getting rid of a sortition winner. And so perhaps to make this as simplest of a transition as possible, we do something like the head sortition winner maybe gets 1.5x instead of 4x. That's
Yeah.
my number.
Yeah, that's fine.
And what do you want to do with the delta?
It distributes to
Leave it
everyone.
in the treasury.
Or put it in a pot, a central account that that's probably too much coding now, but
No, why
Yeah,
can't just everyone else get
Quickly
a
looking at the contract.
Just
Mike-
share it out amongst the other
Yeah,
chief
we can
delegates.
share
It's
it.
the
Yeah.
easiest.
yeah.
If we wanted to pool funds, we can still do it ourselves. We don't need the contract to do it. So
Except that the person that has the money can say that that's their money, that's their fund. And the smart contract is always going to be right.
Wait, I have a question. Why can't if it goes from 4x to 1.5x, that extra, that difference, can it not be redistributed evenly to the chiefs?
that's what I just suggested.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we like that plan? The rest of the chiefs here?
Yeah, it's fine.
restate it again for me.
So it's
That was
a reduction from a 4x difference from head to regular chief to 1.5x, and the difference, the quantity of funds difference, gets evenly distributed amongst the rest, all the chiefs.
so. How does it affect the delegates' pay?
It doesn't.
So the difference between we're just looking at the difference between the chief and the sortition winner.
Yeah.
I mean, the head, the chief delegates and the sortition winner. Because, and that's great, but I feel like if we're gonna fuck around with these numbers, we should really look at like delegate as like the first tier relative to like head chief delegate as the top tier, and figure out how to close the gap between all of those personally, rather than just
Chief,
because I feel like we need to bring the top down and the bottom up a little bit rather than just screw around
but
with the
you
top
know,
two.
We still got to
do
appreciate
that.
burrito though.
because the thing is,
Appreciate
chief delegate have shown to be a little bit more responsible and very accountable. So we don't want to spend so much money on the delegates, especially if we still don't have a way to account
It's a good
for,
point.
where they spend their money.
Well,
I would rather,
everyone's
I'm just,
Yeah, I disagree with Lovejoy's proposal.
Yeah, give the money to the chief delegates. Simple.
it's
Yeah,
very
that will make it a little bit simpler. And then in the future, maybe we can adjust things once we have things a little bit in order.
What is the current gap between the delegates and the chief delegates? It's like 10 to 1, right?
I forgot what.
So
I-
I just looked at
Something,
it.
yeah.
If the chief gets at least this month's disbursement is around 600 EOS, and then the delegate gets 100 EOS.
Oh, so it's 6x.
So
Yeah,
Aaron and
I mean-
Chris has not voted yet.
Chris hates it all. He doesn't want any part of this.
I want to vote for a pay raise.
And that's what
Like,
the proposal is. And
I'm gonna stay in office
That is hard.
afterwards.
if you don't win sortition, it's a pay raise.
I love it. I have terrible luck, so let's do it.
All right.
If you
Yeah.
don't win, that's kind of funny. Yeah.
So
No,
what
that's
what,
good.
what are you guys proposing? I was digging into the smart contract, which I probably shouldn't have been doing.
So it's
1, 2,
a
3.
reduction
How many times we explained this?
4x to 1.5x
Yeah.
from head to normal chief, and the difference of the funds gets redistributed to the chiefs, all the chiefs.
I think that would happen automatically by lowering the percentage.
Yeah, right.
Sure. So,
All right, we got the votes. Sorry.
so if this were in effect today, instead of like all the delegates getting 600, the head delegate would get 900. As opposed to the 3,300 that is happening right now or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big number right now and it's too big. Sure, stepping it down, like,
Unless you want to step it down right now, Aaron, you're welcome to do that.
what, step what down? I'm already like not spending my funds on myself, so.
Well, it's a perfect
Same.
opportunity then. Let's let's do it for now and the previous month.
And Aaron Raindrop.
All
All right, so the
Bye.
next,
What's next?
we have consensus. This is miraculous.
Are we tracking
So
this in a
far?
Google Doc or what?
Yeah, Chris has got it.
Chris, do you want to show your screen just so we can keep a track of what the hell we've agreed to?
Hold on, let me make that possible.
Yep. Let me know. Okay, I'm good.
While Chris is sharing his, or I'll wait.
Well, I'm losing stuff.
Yeah, it's this row here that I'm doing, but it's mixed in with some ones that we haven't agreed to. Let me just add another row.
Chris shares the screen. Each column just says, I am king, I am king, I am king. Damn, Chris, what? That's not what we agreed to.
Chief delegate proposal.
Thank you.
3, 5, 8.
So that's that one. They don't need the green anymore. And then the only other one we had was the election for every 3 months. Okay.
All right. So the next thing to decide on is the Eden onboarding. And I think before we should talk about it, John or Aaron should describe the technical limitations behind, for example, not requiring a 10 EOS fee to onboard.
Well, before we do that, shouldn't we discuss why we want to change it? What's our reasoning? What's wrong with 10 years at the moment?
So I
I'd
can,
like-
or go ahead, Aaron.
I was just gonna say, I'd like to hear somebody justify it. I
Yeah.
don't think it's needed anymore.
I've had quite a few experiences with my bees who want to join Eden, but can't because they live in low-income areas around the world. And I have even I've loaned out EOS to some of my bees to pay for it, and then with their bee salary and bounties that they make, they pay the loan back. And so I understand that it's good for just general funding, but I think it's like a little like negligent compared to like what the funding we really need to get this going.
Yeah,
So I
but
think
if
the pros and cons kind of.
like EOS is $1.98, so it's like 19. It was like $20, $20 US. like if an existing Eden member can't vouch for a new member to be worth $20, then should they really be a member of Eden?
So Helios did an interview with Frios, and they were describing how some people live on $8 a month. And just because they're in an area, it's just very different. The values are very different across the globe. So I think it's maybe too narrow, the ask.
What's the purpose of paying to join at this point?
It's like skin in the game, and also sort of like kind of deters maybe some attacks as well. Like it's gonna be, you know, harder to try spam it or, you know, go nuts.
But
I mean, isn't
realistically,
Fractally proving that you don't need it if you're just showing up?
Well, Fractally,
I mean,
still,
in theory, doesn't exist, but
yeah, well, Fractally, you have different incentives. You got the recruitment award incentive, but then that's like limited. So if you invite someone that doesn't do anything, then you kind of, you know, miss out on your little voucher or token that you get. Like your
right. So they're
capacity
going one
to
step
invite
further.
new members.
Not only do you not have to pay, but you're getting paid to bring more people in. Like the incentives are completely flipped right there.
Yeah, but you're only going to bother bringing someone in if they're going to, you know, bring value to the system. Otherwise, you're just wasting your seats.
So
The
we
thing
can do
with
the same thing.
the thing with
with,
Eden is like
can-
there's been no, I mean, we don't have a problem with like too many people joining right now. In fact, we have the opposite problem, if anything. And so, and skin in the game is not just money. Like showing up and participating is skin in the game, and arguably that's even more valuable skin in the game than just money, because like money is easy to come by for some people.
we can get rid of it.
I don't say get rid of it, but I say reduce it personally.
So interestingly, the actual like the peace treaty we signed on to doesn't mention the 10 EOS. It's only the modifications that were proposed by Dan that show the 10 EOS, which I don't think were ever officially ratified. Like they were just proposed. They never actually became an effect. So this
Correct.
10 EOS dues is kind of not even part of our official rules.
I think we should make it 3.33. No, just kidding. But something like it just needs to be a token amount. Like, you know, it's just the symbolic act of offering to part with something. And it does provide some protection against attacks, at least in our current form. I don't know what Fractally does to mitigate attack vectors otherwise, but forget about Fractally for now. I'd say just lower it extremely.
Okay, 2 years. Is 2 years okay? I think 2 years.
I like 3. 3 is a magic number.
I would go for 2 EOS.
What value would a chief delegate bring if they can't afford $20 to join?
Probably
Because-
potentially infinite amounts of value. Like,
But
what
if
is that? What do the two things
they're
have to do with each
capable,
other?
if they're capable of bringing that value, then wouldn't they be able to afford $20 to join in the first place?
No.
So actually,
I mean,
I will tell you one thing.
So-
I'll tell you guys one
We
thing.
could probably vote because I feel like John might be an outlier on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
well,
actually-
this is worth talking about, though.
No, I know.
Yeah, so for EOS support, okay, we paid for some people to come in because they couldn't afford the 10 EOS, and those guys are working. Okay, they became like a squad. And those guys, some of them, they can create content, right? But they didn't have 10 EOS. They are from Venezuela. But they are in there and they are learning this thing, they are translating into Spanish, and that kind of value is needed, right? So I think sometimes value can be a little bit subjective depending on who you are talking to. At the end of the day, we have to make sure that we are trying to get people who can come on board so that we can help them. Because I can pay for somebody, it doesn't matter, right? I can pay for people to come on. So to be honest with you, it's actually symbolic. It's just a symbolic gesture that you are being part of the community and you just pay something willingly to be part of that community. That's all that it is.
And at this point, it like the burden of proof is on the fee to justify why it even exists at this point, because I see zero value in that fee existing when we can't onboard new members into this process. Like, if somebody can give me a concrete reason as to why it exists instead of arguing how cheap it is, I'm
Yeah,
all
but
ears.
even
Your
to join,
justification right now
even to
is
join
that it's
Eden's,
cheap.
yeah, but to join Eden, you still need 3 existing members to put you in, right?
Yeah, that's hard enough.
Yeah, well, and if you want to change that, then we can discuss like changing that. But again, if
Oh, we don't wanna
if it
change that.
takes if it takes 3 existing Eden members to bring it in, and these 3 individual members can't afford $6, like to
It's not
vouch
about the
$6
cost.
for them
It's
for
not
the
You want
about the
community.
members,
cost.
you want new members to have to beg for donations from other members in order to enter? Is
just
that
an
like a great?
awkward-
Well, they have
dumb
to
idea.
they're going to be vouched for. Remember, wasn't the the thing, like, don't invite someone to Eden unless you be willing to trust them in your home or something. Wasn't that?
Yeah, but
Dan's-
that's
Oh, now we don't trust them in our homes. We bring them in.
What Dan said about that is unreasonable in my opinion.
Yeah, that is the idea that Eden was going to be this governance layer, which I think right now we're focused on it being a distribution mechanism to create value in EOS.
EOS, yeah.
That's it. It's not about
Oh.
like trusting people to be in your house. That's
that's somewhat of a different definition of the mission statement on the bylaws, then, isn't it? Because you said
There
bring
is no
value.
statement in the bylaws. And I would
Well, the
trust
one-
all of you
the-
in my house, just to.
It's the one that we're proposing. So Aaron said to bring value through the funds that it distributes.
Great value.
So yeah, well, so like that's the goal, and then Aaron suggested the how. So if we wanted that to be more of a concrete thing, then shouldn't there be create value for the EOS ecosystem by distributing funds?
No, because they can do other things too.
they could pay themselves and not
Yeah, but-
distribute it.
Hey, why are we talking about the mission?
No, we
statement?
shouldn't go
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
We already
yeah.
reached consensus.
It's slippery. It's slippery.
So wait, I got a question for Aaron. Aaron, would you support a fee but just significantly lower than 10?
Yeah, I think it needs to be reduced, and I'd be okay with 0. But like I was okay with 1 month for elections, but when we start to reason it out, maybe 3 months makes more sense. I'm okay with 0 for the fee as long as the 3 people vouch for you. But I'm okay with like 1, 2, or 3. Like I think I want to swing really hard, but I'm okay being somewhere in the middle as long as it's a reduction or compromise.
So you're still in favor of people vouching for you, like the 3 people vouching?
Yeah, I think that one is good.
I
To
think
me,
the
that's
only
more valuable than
1 vouch and 2 witness.
what. John, what do you see as like a contradiction there? I'm curious.
What do you mean contradiction?
Well, you laugh at the idea of like people being in favor of 3 people vouching yet wanting to reduce the fees, as though those were contradictory somehow, or like not coherent, or not.
Well, if you're truly vouching for someone, then surely you can back it up with $6.
again, it's not about the cost. Let's remove the price of the EOS token from your brain and now try to defend 10 EOS.
But money,
No, no buts.
money is a good gesture that you mean it. Anyone can say something, but if you're going to pay for it, that's another. You're backing up your statement. You're putting skin in the game,
Oh,
backing
so-
that up. You're
Guys,
putting
we have
something at
5
risk.
votes,
You
I
got
think.
skin in the game.
I think we may not need to have this conversation.
So what?
Well, it's
2 or 3.
It's good. It's good to
it's-
try to figure out why.
Is that the system that we want to encourage? That we got enough votes, therefore we don't need to discuss it any further.
Yes.
No, but we're circling. No,
Faster.
John, I feel like we're circling. We're starting to circle.
No, I think it's a
Oh,
good conversation. I just
The next point that I was going to raise is like the English proficiency shit.
Hold on, but let's
Like-
stick on this point. We're
Yeah,
not done with
let's
this
stay
point.
on topic. We'll
We
get
got
there.
2
We'll get
EOS. Guys,
On-
2 EOS. Do we like 2?
no, it's too
It's
much,
fine.
too little.
there. Yeah,
Like
two-
3,
3's a nice
3 or
magic
4.
number. How about
3's a magic
it-
number.
three's-
4 is
None
a
of
great
these
number,
numbers
too.
matter. you guys are all thinking about like what EOS costs today and like
I know.
what seems
I just like
fair.
the
And
numbers.
it's
I
like,
think 2 is fine.
No, I'm not. I'm not thinking about the current cost of EOS at all. I'm just thinking about how cool the number sounds. No, just kidding.
Yeah,
But 4 is good. Like 4 is a
3.14.
60% reduction.
Pi.
What?
Pi EOS.
Yeah, 3.14, 159, 2697, whatever, something or other.
to quickly touch on the other note that is in there, along with the cost, is this video onboarding. Like, John, you just brought that up, and like, I'd be okay with removing that as well. But there's a significant technical hurdle in that way, because the only way to get into the smart contract right now is through that process. So if in the future we want to talk about removing the ritual ceremony of like bringing somebody in, I would probably support that too, but that's a lot more development effort.
Yeah, but we haven't decided on the number. I don't think we should move until we decide on the number.
Well,
So-
we're talking about all the things that interrelate to the number. So good.
Correct.
Yeah, I think 2 is fine.
Well, why charge any at all then? Like, why not make it 0.0001?
You don't want to charge, but
You have such a tendency
I'm-
to go
I'm-
to extremes.
No, I'm going to the extreme to now gauge why you guys still want it there.
I'm good
I
with
think
0.
it serves a function.
No,
Well, what
Aaron's
function
good
does
with
it
zero.
serve?
Function
Lotso?
spam, but for spam, John.
And prevention. Yeah.
Bam.
how does it
is
prevent
skin in the
spam
game.
when you need to
It's
do
like-
a video ceremony?
Why
it
is
doesn't prevent
10
spam.
magically skin in the game and 4 is not? Like
It's a good point, Aaron.
And who's holding these video ceremonies even accountable? Like, that's the other thing.
That it's all kind of useless, to be completely honest. Like,
Yeah.
the thing
think
that
so.
matters is the political playoff election. Like, it is that process that gets you the funding. It doesn't matter what you need to do to get in to participate into the election. It is the political playoffs that matter, and that's it. The onboarding process right now, like in that document I shared, the onboarding sucks, and it's both because of the cost and because of the video ceremony. We can remove or reduce the cost at very little effort. Like, it's a variable we need to change. Removing the video thing, that's a lot harder. That's probably thousands of dollars in development cost.
Why is that expensive? Can't you just put up any old hash? It's not gonna. Who's gonna check?
What are you talking about?
Why
Ash?
is this video?
It's
Thing
crappy onboarding. You still need to like.
Yeah, but
fake
why is it
the onboarding
expensive?
thing.
In development cost?
Because you need to go in and edit the code in the smart contract to remove that. And then you need to edit the front
but-
end to
Yeah,
change
but you
that.
can put in any hash. Like the smart contract is, you know,
But you still need the inviter and the witnesses to log in and click
Yeah.
the buttons.
It's
like
crappy
it's all
UX.
that.
yeah. But all you got to do is update the front end to put in a fake hash, and then
Update the
and
front
then
end.
remove that checkbox. Well, yeah, I'll update the front end. It's only React. It's not bloody.
John
it's
is
not
saying he
rocket
can
science.
hack. He can
Like
hack
any-
his React
any-
solution here.
The
Any
difference
front end,
between a
any decent
variable
front end
and
developer can do
code.
that. You don't even need to know a smart contract for that shit.
Well, John made an Eden website in about 6 hours that would look pretty damn good. So
If you want to hack, I'm trying to remove complexity and changing this stuff.
A little friction's not the end. of
Yeah,
the
like it's not going to cost thousands of dollars. That's to me, that's I don't know. It's like not even a day's work. It's a few hours.
I like.
Does a day of your time cost?
I think the video onboarding makes sense in that know your customer or know your community member.
Yeah.
It helps with knowing your community member, knowing that this person actually is who they say they are. If we are going to follow through with that, and then we can use that to do so many things like voting, community voting, and stuff like that, right? So that's where we can use the Eden members to do so many other things that you cannot use regular EOS members to do, because
Correct.
one person can create
Yep.
1 million account, but
There are other applications leveraging EOS currently, Eden as an identity solution.
Yeah.
Currently.
Mhm.
And if we remove the videos, we remove. I
so
can't
if we remove the
name them for
video,
you right now, but there
then we
are
have to
people
put like
working on and using those things.
yeah, we have to put something that allows us to verify an account, like what Zero Pass is working on right now. Right. So
I think that's a good point.
And we don't want to lose this cultiness feeling we have got going on too.
yeah.
Let's drink the magic serum.
Yeah, we should add the Kool-Aid into the introduction
Yeah.
ceremony.
Yeah. Thou shalt drink Kool-Aid.
All right, so 3 EOS.
2 or
3
3.
EOS.
Yeah. I mean, 3 seems like a nice magic number only because we picked 3 months. So
So,
okay.
we
That's
want
fine.
skin in the game, but less skin in the game.
less skin. We want people to
No.
be thinner.
No, John, I would think of it like we still want skin, but making it more accessible to people.
You
Well,
guys want
that's
skin.
still less skin.
Can you justify why you want skin?
yeah.
Because of
Whoa.
the
This is a
technical
little-
limitations.
There are no technical limitations.
There's no
I don't
technical
think.
limitations. You can make it 0.0001 EOS. And give that out freely.
Guys, let's
You
make
could have
it
a
fair.
faucet. You could have a faucet that did that
Let's-
shit.
let's
That's not
make it
it's not a technical
Okay,
limitation.
sorry, I didn't know.
So again, let's remember that future iterations of delegates can totally move it to 0 if they
Yeah.
want to.
True.
Yeah.
We're just proposing, and I would suggest it's wise to just make an incremental change and not like a drastic, like throw everything out
Let's
change.
show on your screen, you know.
Chris,
Chris, you got a DM on your screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Oopsies. Sorry. Message.
I'll
That's
edit it out.
George from Telos. He's a good guy. We haven't met in person. I was typing him to let him, yeah, let's meet in person next week. Well, like, online.
Tell us
I'm good
more.
with any
No,
So
Now that I know it's been on screen, it wasn't explain it.
so yeah, the thinking is skin in the game, but less skin in the game. That's
So, yeah,
it.
just lowers barriers to
Yeah.
entry for, perfectly good English speaking people that may be in other markets where that's a lot of fucking money and otherwise they'd be easy to get in. And you don't want to I don't want to dole out 10 EOS for every person I want to onboard just because I think they're a great person, but they don't have the EOS. That's kind of crazy. I was arguing against 10 EOS from the beginning, but
So my
was
new
shot
reason
down.
is that it's good to do things gradually.
That's
Yeah,
valid.
Good.
I had to learn that the hard way. I've never been a fan of gradual, and over the years, I've learned a lot of hard lessons. Should do things. Gradual changes are the best, generally.
Yeah.
All right, so can we try to vote again for 3 EOS?
I like 3.
If it's less than 10, I agree.
All right, so we have 4.
Motion passed.
All right.
John is abstaining.
Abstain.
If you had to pick a number less than 10, what would it be, John? Out of curiosity.
9.99.
That's really gradual.
Yeah,
Thousands of years.
it goes down by 1/10 of an EOS
Yeah.
every election cycle.
Okay, so that one's good. What's next?
don't-
English speaking proficiency and standard of membership.
Isn't that already a thing?
It is.
Yeah, but how the
Then
hell
do
do we
we wanna-
enforce it?
John, you have to administer a test to all new members. I nominate you to be the English proficient tester.
It sounds like a lot of coding to enforce it.
That's the things that I'm bringing up are all really minor changes, and that was on purpose because we can effectively make these changes and propose these changes. Enforcing a language is something that happened like day 2 of this election cycle, and nobody's ever proposed an actual solution, let alone one that's really easy to make. So if you have a solution, I think we're on board. Like, communication sucks. I had somebody that could barely speak English in my call, and we probably spent 10 or 15 minutes trying to get them to understand what was happening. So it does burn into that time because we do have that finite timeline. Language is a barrier, and we do need the people to speak the same language to make this process work. So
Yeah.
I agree with your principle. I just don't have a solution.
Well, before I guess that, like eviction, do we have a button where we can evict members?
Is there
Yeah,
a function in the smart
They can resign
contract?
themselves. You can tell them to resign.
Yeah, well, but how can we boot them?
We
Like
did
you can tell people in the Telegram chat to leave the group, but are
leave
they
the
going to
group,
do
yeah.
so?
And
They don't
hopefully,
do so.
hopefully they'll leave the group. Leave the party.
Yeah, I think this is a we've had this conversation so many times before in Telegram and elsewhere, and to me it's like, okay, yeah, we all know we don't want to have somebody, trying to participate in the fractal democracy that we can't communicate with, because that just sucks for everybody. But on the other hand, there are people that are interested in this process that we want to make sure that they find, someplace they can participate in. So say you've got somebody that speaks, French or Korean or whatever, and they don't speak English, but maybe they speak a little bit of English, enough to just cause trouble. There's got to be a way to like not just boot them and make them hate us, but like, oh, you want this door over here, like let us shepherd you into this other language group. Jesse, I'm gonna need your help here. And we find a way to like onboard them into like that Eden org, you know what I mean? Because the way that, frankly, that Dan approached it the first time, he was like, everyone should just resign if you're not, if you don't speak English. Like that was so off-putting to so many people that really care. Maybe EOS token holders, but don't speak great English and were just really interested in the process and got involved and paid 10 EOS to get in. It's like, if like guests show up to your house, but they can't like contribute, you don't just like kick them out. You just say like, oh, like our neighbors are having a barbecue. You might really like get along with them. You should go kick it with the neighbors. Like you're just not going to have fun here because you can't participate in this game. So I'm just
Yeah, so the
urging us to
neighbor-
find a
if
way
I could
to
propose, the neighbor is EOSBs, the neighbor is EOS support, if they can't do Eden. And I would also say that, Aaron, you described some language barrier challenges, but I think the system corrected itself for that, because that person did move on who didn't speak the language well. Yes, the UX is not so great, but I don't think any of the people who did not speak English well moved on from the next round from the first round.
No,
Right.
they didn't, but
No, but that
it
was
still burned time. Like we're also lucky then in that instance, not everybody was pitching projects, because that 15 minutes out of like, what was it, 40, 50 minutes that we had, like if we had every other member of that group pitching to actually move on, that might have eaten that time and made it unfair to someone else. So, and to be completely honest, like I think that there were many people that were more interested in Eden than they were in EOS. And we need to not recruit those people. People who are just interested in Eden shouldn't be joining Eden on EOS. They need to be interested in EOS. And they also need to speak English.
Here's a potential solution. Again, need support and Bs to do this, but we need a way so that at the beginning of a round of an election, there's 6 people in a room or whatever, that's the language test, is the first 5 minutes of that round, and you just communicate. And if the group says, okay, this person is just not going to be able to communicate, then they have to vote and say this person should go hang out with the whoever group, and then the Bs or support are there to receive them, and there's a group standing by to receive them. It's like you've got like some language that can't participate, and you kind of gently boot them, but they don't just go nowhere. They go somewhere where they're welcomed by other people that can speak their language, that are also working towards, creating an Eden community or something. Does that make sense, or is that ridiculous?
it seems very expensive and complicated.
I don't know how we're gonna how we're gonna enforce that between now. Like in terms of our mandate to come up with some bylaws, I don't know if
All
this
you
is
need is
in scope.
well, we don't have to this doesn't have to be like law or anything. I'm just saying it could be cultural too. You could just be like, oh, you're gonna want to, you're gonna gum up this whole like this hour we have together to like figure some serious shit out, I think like the other 5 of us can agree this person should go hang out with the bees. We just say like, yo, Jesse, you know, we got a Thai speaker in this room. Like we need somebody for them to like connect with, you know, and then they just go to that.
Filtering
you know.
should really happen during onboarding. So that way this never happens. But we don't have a solution for this systematically without.
So Aaron, so one of the solutions that I was thinking about was, for me, I was thinking that we needed like one witness has to be like from support. Okay, so if we're about to onboard, you get one witness from support, and then you bring your other witness if you want to, or we can give you 2 witnesses, and then we will make sure that you can speak English and that you're also interested in EOS. We will verify everything, check it off, and then after that we can move forward, you know. And that was something that I was thinking about, but then, you know, when Fractally started heating up, you know, we let go of that thought. But I think that's something that we should start thinking about, right? That if you want to onboard someone, it's very difficult to get the timing right. For support agents, they are 24/7. You can get some witnesses from there, or you can get one witness. There has to be one witness who's a support agent to verify, to make sure that everyone did things properly and check all things off, and then bring the person into the Telegram group, make everything all nice and tidy.
That makes more sense. I like that idea.
What are the technical limitations behind that idea?
There's no way to prevent somebody, or there's no way to prevent a group of people from onboarding somebody that doesn't speak English, because there's no requirement to have that gatekeeper in place.
Well, but
so
I think it's doable.
We could make that requirement.
From a marketing perspective, if we just set the expectation, like here's how you onboard into Eden. You go to eosupport.com and then you invite 2 other friends. And if we just push that narrative, I think it could work.
Or in addition to that, say I want to bring somebody in, I could go to EOS support and say, hey, I want to bring this person in. And then, so EOS support just kind of becomes the gateway that you go through with onboarding. Not that it has to originate with like some random person reaching out to EOS support, but that no matter which way we go, there's this like quality control stage that is administered by EOS support.
I like it.
More work for EOS support.
It's true.
Hey, we are trying to get 2,000 members. So as time goes on, the more work, the more we can bring people to help, and the more we will grow the EOS community and have everyone in the community have something to do. Because that's how you actually build a community, when people have something to do and they feel like they're part of something. There's another thing that came up when I was speaking to Chuck. I think I forgot. I think it was Monday or maybe Sunday. I forgot. But you know, we had election, and some people, they didn't make it to the next step. But those people, we forgot about them, right? So the delegates are having their weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings. Chief delegates are having their weekly meetings, but the rest of Eden, they have nothing to do. And for 6 months, we lost some of them, right? So
maybe a lot of them.
Yeah, so what do we do? What do we do for that 3-month interval? So I think I had a solution in mind, that the first thing we have to do is we have to come up with a solution in that the people that get elected, it's either you meet up with your first rounders or your second rounders and let them know what you've done. Just meet up with them, right? So they feel part of this system. And then the ones who want to do other things that did not get voted into things, or their projects did not get voted, they can join something in the community. So we have to come up with initiatives that people can join, right? So those things will allow people to become a little bit more engaged. That's number one. And number two, it will allow for the delegates to actually have some sort of accountability and responsibility, because you are meeting up with the people who voted for you to move on, right? So by doing that, you are engaging. And the people that voted for you, if they're not happy with what you are doing, they would just go on Telegram or Discord and blow a whistle, right? Talk about it. Like, this person, I voted for that person to use this money to do this, but this is what they are doing and I don't agree. So there can be a little bit of accountability and transparency there if we want to go that route.
It's
think
more
it's-
responsibility.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, and there's no incentive for these people to keep showing up.
No.
So
Sorry,
I
just a
don't-
quick aside, Chris, I think just for the quality of the video, maybe we could stop screen sharing.
Incentive for the people to show up that didn't make it to delegate level.
Right.
I think when they have the meetings, maybe we should pay for their meetings at least. All right. That's what the squads we do, right? We are doing the dance stuff, right? You show
Yeah,
up.
they-
Teas at least.
Yeah,
So
we
they
give
pay
you
their
like,
3 EOS and then
yeah,
they
3
earn
EOS
their
or
3
4
EOS
EOS.
back.
yeah, just get something for showing up. So at least that provides a value for them, right? And also sometimes it's not about the money. The fact that that there's a reward, right? That's how human beings we are, right? You're playing a video game, you want to go to the next level because you know that there's a reward of you getting there. So the human brain tends to do that, and that's how you actually organize a crowd, right? That's how you build a community. So if we can energize those people, first of all, they want to be part of the community. So
Mhm.
by giving them 3 EOS or the 3 EOS that they paid and letting them show up, they'll be there. They'll build friendships. They will feel like, okay, they're in touch with the person who's a delegate that they voted for and they're being heard.
But where's the incentive coming from, Randall?
The 3 EOS, you, the
No.
delegate, can give them the 3 EOS. I mean, come on.
But why would the
They voted for
delegate?
you.
Yeah.
Wait, I
why
think
would
you
the delegate
misunderstood
do
the
that?
question.
This doesn't bring value to EOS, I would argue. Like the community building, as much as I think it's good, I don't think it fits with this system. I don't think it fits with Fractally. I don't think it fits with Eden. Like this idea that this system itself needs to build community. I don't like, that's a big ask and it's going to be hard to do.
Yeah, but we've built a community, right? Eden has built, even though not everyone is participating because
Yeah.
some of the people got left behind. We've built a community amongst ourselves, and a lot of the people in Eden, especially the delegates, they feel like they're being heard, right? When you watch the delegate meetings and stuff.
This is an argument for more frequent than 3-month elections, essentially, because the longer we go between elections, the more people check out because they don't have
Yeah.
anything to do if they didn't get elected. So this is where I am fundamentally more in favor, again, of like monthly. Honestly, I've really found Douglas Bootner's proposal to do bi-weekly really like on the new moon and the full moon. I thought that was pretty genius. But short of that,
But we can do meetings, right? So my thing is you can have the election,
yeah.
but you can do meetings. How do we incentivize people to show up to these meetings, right? There are so many ways you can do that. And to me, I feel like that's how you can also have some accountability, right? Because if you are not showing up to the people who voted for you,
What are
I
the
did
so
that.
many ways?
I did that, right?
I don't
and I was
see-
able to bring people on board to your support, right? Sorry about that, Jesse.
You said there are so many ways to incentivize them.
Mhm.
I don't see that. Where do you think? What are the ways to incentivize the first round people in the election to go to meetings?
Yeah, so the first thing is giving them EOS, which Aaron is not very
But from where?
Because you have a budget, right? So you can give 1 EOS or 2 EOS to these guys.
But why would they do that?
Huh?
Why would someone do that? Why would a
Because
delegate do
it's,
that?
well, that's, and again, this goes back to like, maybe we should be paying the delegates more because they're like they're the people that are potentially like able to keep this
Hold on.
shit going while the chief delegates are working on other stuff.
But when you were reaching consensus, you were reaching consensus saying that you were going to take the ideas forward, right?
Right.
You reached consensus.
Not necessarily.
Really? I mean,
I'll be
Right.
honest, in my first call, nobody else had ideas. There were no ideas to bring forward.
You had an
So
idea, Aaron.
I did, but
And
they
so that-
didn't. I mean, at least maybe I'm lying here. I don't remember that good. But
Please, Aaron,
either way, let's imagine
someone's
a
gonna go back
hypothetical
and
situation.
you're gonna get crucified.
Yeah,
for
I'm probably gonna get yelled at. I'm sorry. I've had so much on my plate that I'm just making assumptions that are probably wrong. But this could be a theoretical situation. Like it doesn't always just click unless we can enforce a situation where every round of every group everyone has ideas. Like that's the only way that you can carry those ideas forward is if we ensure they exist.
All right, this is kind of meta.
It really is, and I don't think there's an easy solution here.
No, I have a further meta idea that I wanted to like.
Oh, you're going deeper. Okay.
Yeah.
Lead us.
Well, what if this is crazy? Just hear me out. What if there was a sub? What if there was a sub election? Like, it doesn't even have to be formal. It doesn't have to be on the smart contract, but it could be run by the first, the delegate level. The delegate level people could essentially administer the election that would run again with all the people that weren't elected as delegates to keep them engaged in that 3-month period. And then they could potentially fund the people that kind of, because, we're definitely missing people for sure that are not, anytime there's a group with 2 like value creators, only one of them is going to advance, 2 or more.
I
So
think
we
it's
could
like
do like a nested secondary election potentially.
it is a loser's bracket for the political playoffs.
Yeah. Yep.
Like if you think about normal playoffs having losers brackets, that's
Yep.
a
Totally.
decent analogy there.
Mm-hmm.
And people do that. That happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although probably wouldn't want to market it as losers, but yeah.
that's
What,
just
what do you want
as
to
a
do with the
technical-
losers bracket when they go through?
It's like it could be midway
Consolation
through the
bracket,
elections.
guys.
Consolation, like basically like if the goal is to keep people engaged that would otherwise kind of like fade away, like, oh, I'm not valued, I'm not going to stick around. It could be like a month if it's a 3-month cycle, let's say it could be a month and a half after that first election. You do a secondary, or it could be like right away afterwards too. I don't know about the timing, but you could do a secondary election, and that election would basically like find those people that were kind of passed over and give them, at least give them a job, give them something to do, engage them in some way. The delegates could, it would be like the delegates' job essentially.
Yeah.
It would be to like the chief delegates are supposed to administer like this larger purse, but the delegates that only made it to the first round could essentially be like the community.
or maybe
How many people have reached out to us and said, "Hey, give me a job. What can I do for the Eden community? Is there, how can I assist you guys?"
So for
Careful.
support, what happened was
Yeah.
all the guys that I was in a group with, they reached out to me, and I was willing to reach out to them as well because some of them I called them, and now they are all part of support, right? Because I told some of them that they were going to be translated. Some of them wanted to translate in Russia. Some of them, they wanted to build a community, the French community. So they are now all part of your support, and I'm very happy about that. There's only one person that I've not been able to reach a consensus with or a contract with. He's a writer, okay, and he's expensive. So that's the only one person that I feel like I still have to. And for him, actually, that was during trial elections. That's when I told him that if I make it and I'm able to do things, I want to reach out to you and have you do the things that you wanted to do for EOS. Right. So I think majority of the time is upon the person who wins the election to really reach out to those guys. That's what it's about. You know, even if you don't give them anything, like the person I'm talking about, who's the writer, he has written for me. He actually wrote my proposal for Pomelo, and he never asked for anything. You see what I'm saying?
I think
So sometimes it's about making someone become engaged.
Lovejoy, when you were describing that solution, to my head, it went to the chiefs that would fund this consolation election. And I think if there's a good way to do it without the smart contract, I don't think that's trivial. But if it can be done, I think it's a good idea. And I think the chiefs would happily, chip in 50, 100 EOS each to fund that. And it's just one time. If we're doing it 45 days after the election, I like that. 3 months elections, the chiefs put in 500, 600, 700 EOS and have 6 consolation chiefs. And I think that's a good solution for the problem of losing first round Eden members.
It can be like a bounty, right? You just put it together, they'll run the election, whoever wins it, you give them the money. And that's it.
Yeah.
To pull this back, like none of these ideas are going to be a part of the system or a part of the bylaws. They're all like the things you guys are talking about are activities that future delegates could perform.
Yeah.
Which I agree, like if a delegate wants to, or a group of delegates wants to do this stuff, like cool, that's awesome. But these aren't things we're going to be adding into bylaws or changing contracts or building user interfaces for, or so there's
Thank
really
you,
no
Aaron.
decision.
Yes, that's good to frame it
here.
Yeah.
Are you muted, Lovejoy? He's talking away.
You're muted, Lovejoy.
Can you not hear us?
I don't know.
What's he doing?
Sorry, I'm muted. What is he doing? I don't know. I said I would just risk thickening the soup a little bit more to say that.
No.
I think
know.
the soup is thick enough.
It's pretty thick right now. One other crazy possibility is if there was an appetite for it, and of course this would just be up to the people at the time, but they're also welcome to this secondary process. Could be fractally, if people wanted to, they could use the fractally process as a secondary.
If it exists.
We could
Yeah,
like,
when it
even
exists.
like fund like a fractally like test bed essentially.
That's bad. Okay.
Just a thought.
I mean, if there is a real desire for this, and if we get the system running well and like the elections are managed or whatever, there's nothing to stop us from deploying the contract a second time and having a completely separate instance of Eden that is like, it could be that 45-day cycle that you were just talking about. Yeah. And then that meta Eden could be funded by chief delegates or whatever. Like that's just redeploying the system again. Like you could do this, but it's just external of this Eden process.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
So the approach is just this Eden is for English speakers. Those who can't speak English wait for Fractally.
Well, Fractally requires
what?
English speakers too, doesn't it?
No, it's your EOSB is in support if they can't speak English as of right now.
Cool. And Fractally is coming.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do that.
So what? Where are we What is
Yeah,
that?
so speaking of
Off on a
Fractally,
tangent somewhere far, far away.
let's move to DAOs. We were having a conversation before the recording about
Yeah,
the differences between and similarities between Haifa and Fractally. Does anyone want to start
Just
off?
before you do that, I'm sorry. Sorry
go
to
ahead.
cut you off. Before you do that, I just want to add this to the eating process. So eating on EOS, as we can see, has brought forth so many leaders to the community. After the blue papers, I saw that we needed a lot of leaders, a lot of organizations and people that can help steer the ship. So I hope that with eating on EOS, continuing, hopefully we will get more ideas, more leaders, and it will help the ecosystem. So I just wanted to add that.
Totally agree. And so part of selecting leaders are DAO tools and platforms for groups to better organize and fund themselves. And we've got some great ones on EOS.io. We were talking before the recording about Haifa and Fractally. I personally think that there is less overlap and a lot more complementary things about Fractally and Haifa than perhaps other EOS community members. Does anyone want to share their opinion?
Before we go into DAOs, are we talking about like when we say DAO, do we mean the traditional sort of mainstream definition of a
Yes.
DAO, or okay, so not Dan's definition of a DAO?
Well, they call themselves a do, so they're not even a DAO. They're a do.
What's a do?
A do is they get shit done. They do it. Just do it.
do the
But-
do.
Okay, so it's just a fancy name for a DAO. It's still a DAO, right?
It's
Like the mainstream definition of a
Decentralized
DAO.
human
Sure.
organization.
So
right?
Haifa's a smart organization, I believe, and Fractally a DAO. But at least from my perspective, with the bees are looking for a platform to better organize. We're on spreadsheets right now, and it's quite painful. And so I see a lot of value in Fractally and Haifa. And as I was looking into the two, I saw some differences, but good differences, like they complement each other. And yeah, perhaps that's something interesting to talk about. And so for me, I'll just quickly say that, again, I read the Fractally white paper and I've watched all the Haifa stuff. To me, Haifa is really good at organizing a group and customizing how you want to be organized. And Fractally is really good at funding a group, getting liquidity for a group's token. And I think that is like the killer application for EOS, Haifa plus Fractally. And so I'm really excited about both of them potentially getting onto EOS. I'm going to do everything I can to promote and support both groups building on EOS.
So where's Haifa built at the moment? Ethereum.
No, they're on Telos.
Yeah, and they were seeking funds in Pomelo season 1, I believe, to port over to EOS and didn't get a great reception, but a lot of projects kind of got missed on Pomelo season 1. And yeah, I generally support the idea of more approaches to human organization being on offer. And I've really been impressed with a lot of the thinking from Haifa. Honestly, it's been a while since I've dove into what they're working on, but when I first got into it, I was like, oh, this is like a match made in heaven between Eden and Haifa. But I guess from a code standpoint, it's not so easy. It's like just snapping your fingers and then like making it all work together. But
Well, I
Just
don't,
that one,
sorry, just on that point, I don't think the code needs to work together. So
Right,
Fractally is describing teams, but like the teams are just their own team. They organize. There's no advice on Fractally how to organize the team,
true.
and that's where Haifa
Yeah.
comes in.
Yeah. There is a recent video out from Reiki from Haifa, I think just earlier this week, and or maybe it was last week, but basically showing how they've upgraded their tool. They built that, like they've been working on this thing for like 3 years, and they built it out of their own necessity, requiring it to build and do their own DAO thing, which is the seeds regenerative ecosystem thing. So, and then they realized, hey, wait, looks like other people need to build DAOs too. So they've now made it so it's like a DAO builder with templates, and you can go in and you basically can create a DAO, and you can set up how you'd like to do your governance with a governance token, and how is it issued, and is there like a decay of voting strength over time, and treasury, like they have all this, the holonic circles of like roles and responsibilities and pay grades, and it's very comprehensive.
So much modularity. It's
3
crazy.
years, yeah, they got 3 years of effort in real world use case, like with for their own ecosystem, that they've got this, and it's basically ready to be like a DAO creator tool on Telos. We're going to have them on the blockchain and breakfast and blockchain live stream tomorrow, so this probably won't be out tonight for people to know, but for you guys, tune in and you can ask questions of Reiki anyway. But they've got, and I agree with you, Jesse, that it's very collaborative with what Fractally is doing. And I think we all saw how it was useful for Eden, because remember at the beginning, forever ago, but it was only a few months ago, we were like trying to set up these, like before the first election, this like idea of circles and trying to do this holacracy style approach to create roles within Eden so we can like function like an organization versus 6 different people all doing our own project. And here we are in the last, the 5th month of our term, trying to figure out what it is we just now settled on our mission statement. So it's like, we saw like, oh, Haifa is perfect. Let's bring this in, and it can help kind of organize Eden beyond just the election process. It still exists, but yeah, not much progress really.
I like it.
So I'll ask Reiki tomorrow, or hopefully someone else. I think Chuck might join in to hop in the live stream and ask, but we'll certainly ask him where that's at and if they still have intention to bring it over to EOS. I think they're looking for funding. So it would be one of those things where if the ENF saw value in what Haifa was doing, I think they would be a good potential source of inflation to basically bring this tool, which then brings users who decide to use that tool to create DAOs. That seems to me like a good opportunity.
And Reiki's a Eden member, isn't he? Yeah. So
He is, yeah.
there you have it.
I understand their journey all too well, starting off doing one thing, realizing that you need something to do that one thing, and then getting lost down that rabbit hole and turning that into a thing that others can use. So kudos to them for going down that path and building this modular system and like letting other people do the thing that they needed to do. I used the word
Definitely.
do enough, I think.
Are you
Yeah.
trying to incept us or something?
Yeah, that's my goal.
Yeah, actually, that would help with contract upgrade authorization DAO. You know, if you have something like that, if you have like people that want to basically be a DAO to help make sure that smart contracts are verifiable, so we can have a DAO that does that, and then you can also have like the API, like a DAO for the public API. So a DAO is like a very critical thing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There are, I think, 2 or 3 proposals in the first 4 blue papers that all require some form of decentralized organization to help manage them. And in some cases, some of those proposals overlap, and it could be the same DAO or whatever word you want to use that could be managing those. So we definitely do need systems to be able to do that. There's another one coming out in the Wallet Plus paper early next week that'll need some sort of system to help govern it. Potentially more than one, depending on how you approach the projects coming out in Wallet Plus. It's going to be fun to put all these puzzle pieces together.
As I just got great news, I want to share our Tippet integration for Swarms version 1.0 is ready. I'm like elated right now. I don't know if you can tell by my face, but
Nope. Kidding.
yeah. So just got word that it's ready. It's ready to try. Been waiting for this for months. So
What's
thank you,
that?
Tippet.
What's that going to look like? What's that going to?
Oh, it's gonna unleash the power of the bees. We've been hamstrung by a technical limitation because our swarms they're very difficult to compensate for, and there's also an economic challenge because each swarm action is very low value and cost and time. So there's not a strong incentive to do it. But if we do it in aggregate, it's actually very high value because of how the social media algorithms work. And so automating these two things that Tippet is doing will take the bees to the next level. So yeah.
Cool. Awesome. The swarm is getting intelligent. What do they call that? The tessellation.
What is it?
I'm gonna get. I think it's tessellation. That's the, you know, when you see the sparrows doing their thing in the sky and they're all like moving without, you know,
I've never heard that word.
coordinated. I think it's tessellation. Let me look it up.
Feels like a
The
murder.
word
That's
you're
awesome.
talking about. I'm not sure if that's it.
Maybe not.
Isn't it a
Thing.
murmuring?
Murmuration.
Murmuration,
Thank
yeah.
you. Murmuration. There you go. Tessellation is a tiling or covering of a surface, often a plane using one or more geometric shapes called tiles. That was close.
Hexagons.
But yeah, murmuration. Yeah, a murmuration of bees.
Cool. Are we ready to wrap it up, guys?
Yeah,
Works for me.
I mean, unless anyone has anything else.
Like, can we review what we like? What's the
Agreed
next
to?
steps? Yeah, on what we agree to. Like,
Right.
is there actionable items that we need to follow up on to make this shit happen?
Before
Yes,
we review, let me put this out there. So you know, we have blue papers that are out there. People who have not read it, read it. There's plenty of work available for developers, you know. So anyone who's out there who wants to you know, help build the EOS ecosystem, who's watching the Chief Delegate meeting, you know, just make an effort, you know, go on the ENF's website, you know, put your feedback in, or you can reach out to, you know, any of the developers on EOS and try to get involved and engaged. All right, shout out to Matthew Darwin for the great work.
Good people.
Yeah. And
Totally.
on that note, folks are definitely going to want to be on the next fireside chat this coming Wednesday. I'd mark your calendars. It's going to be a good one.
Bye.
I'm a special guest.
Oh, is Bloomer coming?
Yeah.
All right,
doubt
so
it.
we got a
Very much
special
doubt it.
guest next fireside chat. That's exciting.
Yeah. And what else?
No hints? Like,
I
you know,
don't know if I'm supposed to say anything or not say anything. So I'm just going to not say anything to be safe. Special guest.
special guest. Makes it
While
difficult.
So
while we're
our-
recording.
I think our next step, guys. So we have 3 changes to the smart contract that we've agreed upon. We should share it in the delegates channel, and then in the private main Eden channel, and get some feedback on it.
I can do
And
that.
you know,
Cool.
I can share.
Sounds good.
Should I share it's actually 4 things: the mission statement, the pay,
Right.
the fees, and the election frequency. Do I want to, should I share this whole spreadsheet that has a bunch of, so maybe more people will throw in some ideas, or do we just want to let them know of the ones that we?
Both.
Do both? Okay.
We're not gonna do anything about eviction or like creating a button for us
Do you
to
have a
evict people.
solution?
I don't have like solution as to how to do like auto evictions and stuff like that, but for the manual shit, like I don't know, someone uploads porn in their introductory thing and they're a Eden member or something like that, like just basics
Did you say porn?
stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
Pornography.
so like some inappropriate content or whatever. Yeah, we should have an eject button. I just don't know like how you, like who has the power and how does that work?
Somebody's got to propose something, because
Yeah. If at the very least, one of the problems I see us facing is if we have 403 members, but say 100 of them are just completely AWOL and will never even like check in ever again, then we're trying to use 2/3 plus 1 as a rule in order to change the peace treaty, then
Oh,
we're
so
functionally broken because we can't ever do that probably.
I would like to propose, I'm sorry this is so late, but I totally forgot about this. This 2/3
Sorry.
plus 1 of all members needs to be changed, in my opinion.
To change
Because
the
if
peace
there's-
treaty, you mean?
Changed on the peace treaty, yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Because it's very unreasonable. I'm kind of surprised that that's in there because Dan wrote it with all the rational ignorance that he writes about, that he would expect all the members to be available. Hindsight
it's an
2020. I don't want to be Captain
Yeah.
Nice here, but
Captain.
it's got to be a 2/3 plus 1 of like election participants, for example, not of
That makes
total
sense.
members.
What's wrong with the peace treaty as is?
Couple
Because
things.
requiring a 2/3 plus 1 vote of all members is not achievable because there's too many rational ignorant members.
Yeah, but is there anything in the peace treaty that we actually want to change?
Yeah, there's hold on, I'm loading it right now. There's a couple things that are going to be quickly outdated if we want to do anything. Like one is the 3-month ratification. Bylaws may only be ratified if they were proposed at least 3 months before the last election. Well, if we move to 3-month elections, then that's not even possible
Yeah.
anymore. So, not to say nothing of 1-month elections. So like that's one thing that needs to be changed.
And the holistic, the bylaws have to be one
Oh yeah,
document that must be ratified versus the C.
yeah. I would love to hear Dan's thinking on that, but yeah, currently it says where is that? Oh yeah, the active, and this is kind of written weird. The active and a proposed set of bylaws are indivisible, single documents, i.e. the former board cannot provide the next board numerous options. That needs to be understood better and maybe thrown out, depending on what it's trying to accomplish. I admit my ignorance to not knowing. I guess maybe the thinking is he doesn't want, I don't know if I can articulate it, but I think I see what he's trying to get at. I just don't know if it's.
We can
written
vote on
very
these
well.
other peace treaty things in our next meeting, but we got
Mhm.
3 solid changes right now, and then we can address the rest in our next meeting.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And send us off, Lovejoy.
Yeah, I guess I'll just do I don't have a book in front of me, but here's one of my favorite.
We've done a lot today, more than we've done in the past.
Here's one of my,
This is our most productive meeting.
It's story time now.
yeah,
Yeah.
but we've been leading up. This is all these meetings prior to this were like the grist for this moment, so.
That's awesome.
All right, here's a quote that I really like. If you wish for a pearl, you must leave the desert and wander by the sea. And even if you never find the gleaming pearl, at least you won't have failed to reach the water.
Oof, smooth.
So
Lovely.
see you guys next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Ciao, ciao.